You've heard us talk a lot about Red, White, and Badass Brew. They make coffee. They make some of the best coffee I've ever had. They're here local in Southern California. They're right here in San Diego. And their owner is very pro-Second Amendment and just happens to be a member of San Diego County Gun Owners. This segment is brought to you by, you know what, we're going to switch this up. This segment's brought to you by Red, White, and Badass Brew. And we're going to talk to their owner, Dustin, here in just a minute. But while we're doing that, check them out online, rwbbcoffee.com, rwbbcoffee.com. And if you use GOR, you get 15% off. And they have all kinds of really great coffee that you can buy, have shipped to your home. And I got to tell you, I wasn't a big coffee guy before I tried their coffee. I love it. It is so tasty. It's wonderful. And I'm so happy to have Dustin here. Dustin, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. Red, White, and Badass Brew.
That's it, man. In the flesh.
In the flesh. So tell us about the name. How did you come up with Red, White, and Badass Brew?
Well, it was originally named Basic Badass Coffee, or Basic Badass Coffee Company, or something like that, because I like pumpkin spice. And then Badass Coffee of Hawaii sent me a cease and desist letter. And at first I was like, you know what? I don't think so. I don't think you can go after me like that. And then I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, that's close. Yeah. And I didn't particularly love the name. I just love coffee, and so my guys call me Basic Bitch. And so I just come up with Basic Badass. Yeah. And so I started doing some little segments and skits online. And I thought about it, went back to the paper and started writing down names. And Red, White, and Badass Brew came up, and I was like, that's the name. That is a name that represents me, the people I love, the country I love, and the people I want buying my coffee.
And how did you come up with coffee? What were you doing that you said, you know what? Damn it, I got to sell coffee.
Well, it was actually coffee saved my life.
Wow. Talk about that.
So I was in the worst spot of my life. I had a construction business, doing multi-million-dollar construction business. I had a partner in it, and it went south real fast. I was on the road to become a millionaire, and I was $700,000 in debt.
Jeez.
In just a matter of weeks. And then lawsuits started coming in, and my house was attached to the construction debt that we had. We had a line of credit. And this was in 2020. Mm-hmm. Into 2020, beginning 2021, and it just spiraled way out of control.
It seems like that's the way for construction. It's like feast or famine. Like, it seems like construction guys are either driving around in Lamborghinis or, living in a box.
But we were doing well, very, very well. But we had some inner turmoil that just we could not resolve, me and my partner. And so it really just went downhill real quick. And some decisions that were made that I was not aware of, and money being moved to places that shouldn't have been moved. Mm-hmm. And by the time I caught wind of it, it was too late. It was way too late, and just something I couldn't recover from.
So where did coffee come in on this?
So in 2021, series of events, my oldest daughter tried to commit suicide. My oldest son decided to chase girls and drugs, and with a 4.3 GPA. And so I was kind of at the end of my rope, man. And so I wrote 5 letters to 5 friends of mine and went and visited one of them. And I told him, like, man, I'm done. At the end of the conversation, it was a normal conversation. And I just told him, man, I love you, dude. Nice knowing you, but I love you, man. He's just like, what in the hell are you talking about? And just told him I couldn't get a break in life. And so we just went through a series of steps. And he's just like, what's one thing that you love? One thing, no matter how big, how small. I have 4 kids, an awesome dog. I have a lot of life to look forward to. And I said, I just love my coffee, man. In the morning, I wake up, I drink my coffee, and then I go about my day, whatever that looks like. And it's usually pretty dark. He's like, great, let's focus on that, man, every day. Just wake up, enjoy that badass coffee, and make it to the next cup. Just make it to the next cup. Help me tackle a couple problems. Then I realized that these problems are just temporary. These are not permanent. I almost made a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Yeah. And so, and then Red, White, and Badass Brew was born.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense, my friend. I'm so sorry you had to go through that, but wow, holy cow! Look at how you've come out of it so successfully.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it. It's not quitting, and I encourage everybody not to quit and reach out. And that's kind of the harder part, right? Because suicides is pretty prevalent these days. And we're not 22 veteran suicides a day anymore. We're almost like 34, 36.
So let's talk a little bit about that. You are a veteran?
I am, yeah.
Talk about a little bit about what you do for
I was a U.S. Navy. Flew drones for Special Forces, and I got medically retired in 2013 after 13 years of service.
Wow.
And so life transitions and speed bumps are not unusual in my life.
Well, what do you think? So I had heard it was 22, and now you're saying that that's actually increased 22 per day.
Yeah.
What do you, in your assessment, knowing veterans, being a veteran? This is something that you've gone through yourself, and something you're very passionate about. What is it? What if I never served, I was never in the military. A lot of people weren't or aren't, and how would you explain it to somebody? Why is a veteran more susceptible? Why are there so many suicidal veterans?
Well, because when you leave the military service, you're pretty much your whole life, right? You're leaving everything that you stood up for. The military uniform. So from Friday, it's your last day in the military. Monday, you're like, what am I doing? You're no longer donning that uniform. You're no longer in the locker room with your buddies. You're no longer doing the job that you love to do. You leave all of that. You also lose your drive and your purpose. You no longer have a mission. So you're losing a lot of identity when you leave the military, and you have to recreate that identity. And a lot of people just don't know how. And you lose structure. Think about one day, your day is pretty structured. You wake up, you have to be there at muster at 0700, and you're getting off at 1700, but 5 p.m. And that is your day. And throughout the day, you know when to go to medical, you know when to go dental. You have everything kind of lined out for you. Your training pipeline, you know exactly what you're going to be doing. To leaving, now you're all on your own. You have no structure, no system, and you lose all that camaraderie back in the military. You're no longer going eating luncheon with your friends. You're no longer getting that kind of almost therapy, I would say. We don't realize it, but when you get out, it's kind of like therapy, man. You hanging out with the guys and the gals, it's therapeutic. It really is.
It feels like you've lost purpose. You had this enormous purpose. You had this mission, like you said.
Correct.
You were a part of the military, and you guys were doing extremely important things, and you were surrounded by guys that supported you. Yeah. And then one day you're just alone. Just one day
you're alone, and you have to recreate that structure outside. And then usually, if you're not prepared for that kind of transition, and like financially, it's going to have a huge mental toll on you. You're going to be like, wow, I can't afford the things I used to. The lifestyle, you're going to have to change a little bit, unless you prepare for that transition. If you do that, you really need to prepare 18 to 24 months in advance to really be squared away on that transition.
Wow.
And then you lose that identity, really. You're losing your identity. Now you're going to have to go from combat boots to a boardroom suit somehow. And about 20% of the people who leave the military have never done a resume, have never made a resume. They don't know where to look. And I was on a panel one time, and the lady's like, oh, well, just become an expert in writing resumes. And I was thinking to myself, as a business owner, I'm like, wow, that's a terrible idea. You know how long it takes to be an expert to write a resume? Right? Yeah. That's like the longest road to employment. And I was like, no, hey, hire somebody to do the job. Don't become the expert in it, because you don't want to do that. You want to get a job.
There's no transit. I thought there was some kind of transitional, hey, go to a week of classes before you.
It's called TAPS.
TAPS?
TAPS.
God, that's like the worst name. You know what I mean? Isn't TAPS what they play? It's like a military funeral?
Yeah.
That's the worst name I could think of. Okay, I think mission number one, let's try to change the name of that from TAPS.
They might have changed it, I don't know. But it's also governed by our government. Like Congress is actually the oversight for this program.
Transitional Assistance Program.
Yep, So to make changes in this program, it's super difficult. You have to go through Congress. And so...
Even the name, it's going to take a congressional... All right, well, let's move on.
Yeah.
So in TAPS, when you're transitioning... Is it just not enough? I mean, do they do things could they improve it, or
There's always room for improvement.
Sure.
So you're just so bombarded with so much information.
Yeah.
You just don't know really what to start. I can't remember, but man, I left with a whole bunch of stuff.
Right.
You're not going home and sitting down and cracking a beer and reading this stuff. You just not.
I would imagine you're just not in the mind frame either. You know?
No, you're excited. You're at that final stage of leaving, because I think TAPS is like 60 days before you leave active duty. I think that's when you go to TAPS. So 60 days before you leave active duty to go and now join the civilian life, that's not enough time. You are already way behind the 8 ball of doing anything meaningful and getting a job. So check this out. When I transitioned, when I got medically retired, I thought I was going to be like, oh man, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to get that government job. It's going to be so easy. They're just going to open doors for me.
Yeah.
I was so dead wrong. I got out and there was nobody waiting to open a door for me. There was nobody sitting there saying, hey, here's these jobs you qualify for. I probably put 60, 70 resumes with 0 interviews.
Yeah.
0. And I was in trouble. I was in financial trouble. I was in my confidence went from like high up here, well, not really high, but high as it could be at the point, to super low. Yeah. I was I gained, I was 195 pounds when I left, and within a year, I was 250 pounds. I was eating my way through my problem.
I hear that a lot, and it's kind of a hard truth that if you're a veteran looking for a job, nobody cares that you're a veteran unless they care that you're a veteran. You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless it's like someone has some kind of personal connection or whatever, or maybe you had some kind of specialized information or some kind of specialized training that they're looking for. I've had the thought that they need to stop selling military service with that idea. Like, well, gee, you're going to be a veteran. Everyone's going to hire you, and you're going to, whatever. We need to probably tamp that down a little bit.
Oh, 110%. Think about this. You go into the military as a culinary specialist, a cook, or a tank driver. I mean, being a cook, there's a lot more things you could probably do with that than you can a tank driver. What are you going to do in the civilian sector just on that job alone?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Right.
There is no tanks
Yeah.
in the civilian sector, right? So you
I would like to change that, but currently there are no tanks.
I would too. I would too.
So you got involved, but what's the most effective thing that occurred to you? What's the most effective change in your mindset, and your frame of mind? Like if you could just tell one person one thing, maybe it's someone who knows a veteran or knows someone that's suicidal, knows someone that's at risk or something like that. If you just give them like just one little piece, like, man, you know what really helped me the most was this, what would it be?
Wow, that's so hard to pinpoint. So one thing, if you know somebody who is suicidal, be there for them, and don't be judgment. Don't have judgment. Don't cast judgment. Just listen, and be their battle buddy. Find out some programs, because what goes on is they sit you in front of the computer, say, fill out all this shit. If you're suicidal and you're having some mental health issues, the last thing you're going to do is sit there in front of a computer and fill out a whole bunch of things that you don't know where it's going. So help them out, be a battle buddy, sit with them, help them fill them out. Case in point, I had a buddy who came to me who was suicidal, and I sent him a whole bunch of links. And he's like, yeah, I'll get to it. So I just checked up, and I was like, man, this guy ain't going to do it.
Yeah. So
what I did is I started filling it out for him. I have all his information. So I started doing it for him. And then he started getting help.
Good.
Because now he's just like, okay, well, it took that little bit. It took me, 5-10 minutes?
When they're in a dark place, that's too hard.
It is.
They need someone to do the legwork for them.
Well, they're clouded. Their judgment is clouded. Right. They're just trying to live.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing. Like minute by minute, hour by hour, just trying to live. And these little road bumps, look at a computer, talking about their problems on a computer with not a live person, it seems pretty dark. It seems pretty lifeless.
Probably doesn't seem like there's a point. Probably seems pointless.
And they're going to say, who cares? Yeah. I'm a veteran. Plus ego. We need to, break a couple barriers down. We need to stop the mentality of us going to get help is a weakness. I think it's completely opposite. If we go get help, we're going to be stronger in the end.
Yeah, no
You know,
kidding.
because that makes us more resilient. That's going to bring us. That's going to have tools in your toolbox. You know, so when stuff in life does go wrong, you're able to go pull back on it. You're able to pull those out and use them time and time again, because life is just exactly that, man. We're going to have things that go wrong all the time.
Now, is there a particular organization that you like or participate in, or what's?
Yeah, a lot of people don't
out.
like Wounded Warrior Project. I love them.
You've had a
They
good
help me out.
experience.
Oh,
Good.
major. STEP, Support the Enlisted Project here locally in San Diego.
Okay.
Awesome. And then Operation Homefront.
Operation Homefront. Okay, so Wounded Warrior, STEP,
STEP.
and Operation Homefront.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. Now let's circle back. Now, who should go buy Red, White, and Badass Brew coffee?
Oh, man, the American-loving patriots out there that
Yeah.
want to keep our country free.
What's your best selling?
Whiskey business, man.
Whiskey business.
Yeah,
That's
that
my
vanilla.
family favorite.
Yeah, that one is.
No booze in it. It
No
just
booze.
has a very similar taste palette. Is that the way to put it?
Yeah, so it has just a little bit of vanilla, caramel, and whiskey flavor in it.
Look at me
So-
being fancy saying taste palette, Alicia.
Bougie
Do you hear that?
Do you still have the decaf one?
No, Sleepy Joe.
That one-
No.
Sleepy Joe.
I thought that. I bought it just because the packaging was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had Joe Biden's face on it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, you know, I came out with it, when in 2021. And it was just a joke, man, and people loved it. And the decaf was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't drink decaf, but it was good.
I didn't. I wasn't a coffee drinker. I really liked your coffee. I had it at one of the. We had a tabletop somewhere. I think it was the first time I met you. It was at Core. That Core.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it was the first time I met you there, and we both had booths. And I tried Whiskey Business, and I was never a big coffee guy. I just wasn't a coffee guy, even though everybody in my family just loved coffee. And I loved that. It was really good. And then about a year ago, I became a coffee guy. And I just hit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I was just like, I was tired. I was actually coming in to do a show, and I was particularly tired. I had a long day or whatever. And I was like, gosh, I got to be on for the show. And I downed some coffee, and I'm like, okay, I get it. All of a sudden it was clear to me. So, all right, what's your website, Dustin?
rwbbcoffee.com.
RWBB Coffee.
Yep, .com.
And .com. And you want to do GOR to get 15% off.
Correct.
And great, man.
And there's one last thing. So we are actually opening up a drive-through in La Mesa.
Nice.
So that's coming soon.
We should have led with that. That's awesome. When's that? What's the time frame on that?
I'm hoping, God permits, into this month.
Nice.
Into this month before Valentine's Day.
Very, very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to that. When that happens, let's talk about it.
Where in La Mesa, though?
Off of Jackson Drive, Honey Baked, right across the street from Honey Baked, next to, kind of down the street from Hobby Lobby.
Okay.
So if you go to Hobby Lobby there off of Grove Center Road,
Yeah.
we're just right down the road from it.
That's cool. Well, let's when that happens, let us know. Give us plenty of time so we can promote and get a line around the block.
Let's do it.
Cool, man.
That's it.
All right, Dustin. Well, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks,
So
Mike.
that's Red, White, and Badass Brew. Check them out. GOR for a discount. Thank you, Dustin, for coming on and talking to us, and thank you for everything you do. So nice hearing your story, and I'm so glad that you're successful and doing great, man, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
All right, dude.
Appreciate
Take care. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'm Michael from Gun Owners Radio. If you liked what you saw, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and make a comment. Help us out. Go to gunownersradio.com. Thanks for watching.